Greetings my cousins, we're going to make some gingerbread biscuits. These are some Polish ones, and my Polish friends will tell me I've said this completely wrong, Katarzynki or Zinsk. But anyway, these are a traditional Polish gingerbread biscuit, okay, and there are certain forms of this or certain recipes of this that date back centuries, and some of which are secret. But anyway, this one ain't. So in here, I've already measured out, oops, got my teeth out, I've already measured out 200 grams of runny honey. And into that, I'm going to add some soft brown sugar. It's meant to be dark brown sugar, but I only had this one. So that's 100 grams of that going in there. And then I've got some butter. The recipe said at room temperature, but given what we're about to do to it, it doesn't really matter that much. I've got 100 grams of that, and that's going in there as well. Because what we now want to do is melt that all together. So I'm going to put that on a gentle little heat, and we just want to combine all that together, and then we'll set it aside. Now I've got the other ingredients already measured out. This, or one of these versions of this gingerbread that I just mentioned from Toron, again, I don't know any Polish, that actually dates back to 1380, and it has connections with the solar system, sort of. No, aliens didn't give us the recipe. But what you're going to need, in addition to what I've just put in here, is you're going to need 2 egg yolks. You're going to need some baking powder, some bicarbonate of soda, some plain flour, plus some, when we come to roll it out, you're going to want some white, well, it's a sort of grey colour, but I think that's natural, white rye flour, 100 grams of that. The plain flour that I've got measured out there, I've got 300 grams of that. And then I've got 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, a teaspoon of ground cloves, and a teaspoon of ground allspice. Yeah, that's it. Now, one of the recipes I'm following says, oh, melt some chocolate and coat the biscuits in chocolate, but I'm not sure I'm going to do that, because I like my ginger biscuit. I do like my chocolate ginger biscuits, but anyway. So it's just a matter at the moment to keep stirring this until that sugar's all dissolved and the butter's all melted and it's all mixed together. Right, that's all melted together, so I'm just going to set that to one side, and in this bowl here, let's have a spatula, I'm going to add in those spices that I said about. And then we want a teaspoon of baking powder. And a teaspoon of, I don't think my teaspoon goes in there, really. Teaspoon of bicarb. The rye flour. And now we just want to mix all those dry ingredients together before we're going to add the egg yolks and that mixture, but we're just going to let that mixture cool a little bit. So I'm going to grab some cocoa powder. There it is. I suddenly thought, I'm sure I've got my cocoa powder out, 2 teaspoons of that as well. So we're just mixing that in, okay. And then we'll be ready to form a dough. Now you don't need your oven on yet, because like a lot of these things, it's going to need a bit of time, in this case, to chill. We want our gingerbread to chill out. Just knocking the lumps out of this. Perhaps I should have sieved it. This cocoa powder. Yeah, we chill it before we cut out our biscuits, if you like, our cookies, and bake them. We're ready to beat in our 2 egg yolks. Okay. So a Turun, whatever, was famous for its gingerbread. But the city was also famous for the birthplace of Nicholas Copernicus, the famous astrologer of the time. And there's also a company called Copernic, which is famous for their particular gingerbread. So we're now just going to mix that buttery, sugary, honey mix in. And then, like I said, this will be then, once this is all combined, we're then going to just let this chill in the fridge. Chopin, when he was 15, visited Turin, whatever, and sampled this gingerbread and was so impressed with it, he mentioned it to all his mates when he got home. I think he even took samples back for them, and as a result, in a way, sort of in honour of him, they created a special heart-shaped gingerbread biscuit with the likeness of Chopin pressed upon it. So you can see this is just about, what do I say that, then I scoop up a load from the bottom. I might need something a bit stronger than this spatula. I think it's getting quite sturdy dough, but I want to make sure I get rid of all those white spots, and then I'm going to cover it and it's going to chill for at least an hour in the fridge. Right, that's had a good hour at least chilling, so we're going to be ready to roll it. Now we're going to roll it between 2 sheets of baking paper, and then it's up to you what size you want. I'm just going to use a cutter like that, make fairly small ones. I've got some lined baking trays here. You're going to need to leave a little bit of space between them because they will spread a little bit. The oven's preheated up to 180. Now, we've been talking about gingerbread, and you might have noticed I didn't actually put any ginger in, and that's simply because the English sort of name uses ginger, but actually if you look at the word for it, the Polish word, it actually means peppery, which is a lot more fitting with the kind of spices we've got in it. So this is set quite nice and firm, so I'm just going to cover that back over while we mould that. and then we just want to roll it out, which is easier said than done when you've got slippery baking paper on the bottom. Now you could, if you wish, put these trays, once you've got them cut and on the trays, put them in the fridge while we wait to cook them, just to help stop them sort of spreading too much. But I'm rolling them quite thin. Okay, so it's just a matter of cutting these rounds, and then we're going to bake them in the oven, like I say, 180 fan, probably for about 20 minutes or so, but it really depends on the thickness of your biscuit. I'm not going to do that one very well. But basically, until they are nice and, well, I'll say golden, you know, it's going to be a bit difficult to tell because of the colour of it. But you need to let them cool a little bit on the tray before transferring them to a wire rack. So there you go, you see there's the first batch out. They do puff up a little bit, but they haven't actually spread as much as I feared they might. So I'm literally just going to let them cool a little bit longer, get them onto the wire rack to cool off completely. Now, these will harden as they go cooler. Traditionally, you would then put them cooled into a tin and let them mature for 2 weeks, at which point they do soften up a little bit. I don't think we're going to get that far. But anyway, the other lot's in, a few more to roll out and bake, and then that will be hopefully our first batch ready for tasting. This was part of the first one, slightly thinner, so a little bit more overdone than the others, but never mind, let's try it out. A nice snap to it. It's right what I say, as it's called, it's hardened. Depends on how you like a ginger biscuit. I mean, this is just reminiscent to me of the good old-fashioned ginger biscuits you used to have as a kid. Well, you can still get them. Probably not exactly the same, but that makes up fruit go with them. They're not as gingery as ginger biscuits, but then, like I pointed out, it's not strictly speaking gingerbread as we would think of it, or even ginger biscuit. But there you go, your Katarzynki traditional gingerbread biscuits from Poland.